Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to the 1,000 subscriber giveaway actual build for Jena Tucker, who from Jena Tucker Aquariums, who won the contest. She emailed me and gave me the size of the tank she wanted to put this on. So I and also of course the filter the style of filter that she wanted. And so I upscaled the well, as you can tell, the 1/4 inch one, the stronger of the two, so that it would work on her aquarium. Oh, you have to pardon my cat here. This is Alice. She decided it was time for her to come by for a quick scratch and a hug, right in the middle of a build, of course. Now, Jenna, this is exactly the same as the one that you chose, except I wanted to reinforce where the intake went as well, because as I tend to build these things, I try them out and I do some modifications. So in this particular case, I took 2 pieces of 1/4 inch acrylic, and what I'm going to do here is drill them to size for the tubing that they'll fit through. But of course, the tubing is not exactly the same size as a drill bit, so what I had to do is quickly run it through the lathe and just trim it down to size. That way we'll get a really tight fit, and what will happen is we'll end up with a much more robust attachment, so that we won't have to worry about this cracking or anything in the future. So I'm not going to show you the build for the box. You can see that right there. It's exactly the same as the one before. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify the overflow a little bit so that fewer pieces. I ran the other ones for a little while. I made sure that they worked the way I wanted them to. And then I'm going to just attach these on here now. Those of you familiar with hang-on back filters will recognize that this part is the part that first off, sets on the lip of the tank, and also that piece that I'm gluing on right now prevents the filter from sliding off the tank and falling on the floor. Now, when you buy hang-on back filters, normally like commercial ones, they come with a small plastic tab that usually fits in at the bottom or the base of the filter down here. And what it does is it prevents, or not prevents, but it keeps the filter level when it's on the tank. Now, Jenna, I don't have that sort of attachment, so what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to send a piece of 1.5 inch PVC piping that I've cut as, well, an O-ring, and it should be the right thickness for it to do that exact same purpose. At the end of the build, you'll see what I mean, and it'll be a little bit more clear. So once I have this glued on, I need to build the intake, and I chose to go with the cut and glue one. So I'm going to cut a piece of pipe at 45 degrees, and then I'm going to glue them together, and then attach the air intake, and also because you're going to have fish in your tank instead of the little side tank that I had used as a test, I'm going to build you an intake screen as well, so that you can actually have this on an aquarium and not, well, I don't think there's going to be enough suction really to cause any great amount of danger to your fish, but just to be on the safe side, I don't want any fish going through the filter. So here we go. I'm going to glue this on, and then I'm going to glue the directional flow so we get the water going where I want it to go instead of just slopping over the sides randomly. And that would be this last little piece here. Now, there are lots of ways of doing an intake screen. Sometimes what I've done is I've just drilled a bunch of holes into a piece of pipe and then put a finer mesh over it. But in this case, what I'm going to do here is I've marked off 2 sets of lines. One is for one side, and then I'm going to so you can see the lines that are closer, that are 1/2 inch apart, and then it's going to run it through the blade for each of those, and then I'm going to flip it over 180 degrees, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the hash marks on the other side, and that will give me, or will give this, a grate, so that keep the fish from getting out. Now, obviously this is not going to work for fry, so if you are going to use this on a fry tank, Jenna, you probably are going to have to add a little bit of nylon window screen or something like that, or just cut a sponge to fit over it. So here I'm going to switch over the 180, and do the other hatch marks. And that way you'll have a nice grid pattern. Now because the bottom of this is open, I'm going to have to cut a piece of acrylic, glue that on, let that set for a bit, and then sand it down. When I was building this, it reminded me that I really do have to get on to working on the bandsaw build that I was making just before the summer, because these small pieces are much easier to work on that sort of thing. And also I would have been able to trim this piece of acrylic there still with the cover on it much more close to the size it was supposed to be, and then it would be easier for me to sand it down instead of spending about 5 minutes sanding off all the excess on that square. So I'm gonna do what I always do when I do builds. Have to have the mandatory belt sander scene, and I'm going to show you just going to trim that down. It's always best when you glue something like this just to sand towards it so you don't pop that off the end. Excuse me. As I said in the microworm video that I just put up a few minutes ago, I'm still fighting a little bit of a scratchy throat, so please excuse the hoarseness. And there we go. That's all sanded down and ready to go, and that will fit on the end of the pipe. One thing you're also going to notice when I originally cut this and set it all up, I had underestimated how much lift every little bit of pipe gets, so I ended up swapping out this pipe for another one that was longer Jena. That way you will have much greater flow through the filter. But here you go, here is your filter, and I'm going to hook this on a tank now. Oh, there's the O-ring, by the way, just show you how it keeps it level. And this is the longer lift pipe because, like I said, it needed to have a little bit more flow for you. So I'm going to fill this up with media, and what we're going to do here is I'm going to let this run for a little while, and then make sure everything's obviously not leaking or cracking or anything like that and functioning properly. And then I'm going to get a hold of you, or actually just leave a comment or send me an email, and I'll get your address and we'll ship this off to you. Anyway, thank you very much everyone for watching. If you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe. And hopefully Jena in the near future will run this on her tank or one of her tanks, and will let me know how it works, because I definitely would like some feedback on this. This is actually the first hang-on back filter air-driven that I've built, so it'd be kind of neat to see if it actually does what it should do. And anyway, thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye for now.